Yes, good evening and welcome along to another episode of Play on the Scottish Football Show. I'm David Simmons. Tonight I am joined by Exeter-born English midfielder, former Hearts, Motherwell and Forest Green Rovers man. We've got ELLIOTT FREAR on the show. ELLIOTT, thanks for coming on, mate.
No problem, mate. No problem.
So, obviously, I mentioned there, English-born midfielder. Have you been watching the Euros? Is it coming home for the English this season?
I thought that'd be the first question. Yeah. To be honest, yeah, I've actually really enjoyed it. Obviously, we're on the off season down here at the moment, so I've been in the bars and like enjoying it, for the first time ever. But yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, we've been playing really well, and yeah, hopefully we can bring it home. But obviously, I've got a lot of Scottish friends, so I'm just like keeping calm at the moment. Like nothing's on social media.
That's it. Because I mean, like I said, your time up here at Hearts and at Motherwell, Hearts was your latest club where you played last season. Did things all end on good terms at Tynecastle?
Yeah. It was obviously good terms. I know the manager quite well before I went to Hearts. Anyway, he tried to sign me a few times at his previous clubs, and it just didn't work out at the time I was there. But yeah, personally, it was frustrating for me. Obviously, I had a lot of injuries. I was living away from my daughter. Obviously, I'm my wife. In a lockdown up in Scotland, living on my own. So it was a tough one, Like, yeah, I think the only regret I do have is if it was any other year, when my family could move up, which they would have done, things could have been completely different. But the way of the world at the moment is what it is, and yeah, I did enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, Robbie's still quite a young manager in at Hearts. What is he like as a gaffer? Is he the main man that calls all the shots there? Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's quite quiet. His man management is superb. That was the first thing that come to me. Obviously, my family couldn't move up at the time, so he was sort of giving me days off, more days off than others. To go home and see my daughter and stuff like that. He's big on that. But yeah, he's the one who obviously makes sort of shots, and obviously he's got Gordon Forrest and Lee McCulloch there as well that are giving him good advice as well. But yeah, he calls the shots.
I mean, obviously, Hearts are quite notorious for the atmosphere around Tynecastle. How was it playing there last year with no fans in the stadium? What was that like?
Yeah, it was tough. Yeah, you know what? It was. I think that's what made the league. I think we sort of tailed off a little bit towards the end. I think that was why. I think we put so much into the first couple of months of the season, got a massive lead, and I think if we had a crowd in there around Christmas time, I think we would have seen the league off a lot earlier. I think teams sort of come to Tynecastle at the time and wasn't really scared. And I remember when Motherwell went there, it was like the atmosphere was ridiculous. I mean, it was stuff like if Hearts started well, even got a corner in the first like 5 minutes, it was like they scored. So I think if we had that sort of atmosphere last year, I think it'd have been a lot different, and we would have won the league more convincingly. I know we won it by a lot in the end anyway, but I think it would have been done a lot earlier if we had crowds in. But obviously it goes two ways, and we used to have team talks where when we used to start well at Hearts, the team used to get on their back. So it's one of them. But I do think having a crowd in there last year would have helped us a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, talk us through what a match day was like during COVID, because obviously you've got to follow all the new restrictions, etc. What was it like playing a professional football season with the COVID restrictions that were in place?
Yeah, like just weird. It was just like new stuff every week. It was like stuff used to get brought in. Like, I mean, 11 would get, obviously the Hearts change. I don't know whether you've been there. There's obviously the home and away in the new bit. So like the starting 11 would get changed in one change room, we'd get changed in a different one. So we'd never really mingle until like never really speak to the lads until you get on the pitch. It was that was the most weird thing. And then obviously we take 2 free coaches to every game. And yeah, it was just like, more things were just coming up every game, and it was definitely like something to get used to. But yeah, hopefully, obviously next season we'll all be together, and because that was the most like frustrating thing sometimes as well. We couldn't really celebrate a win, and it was like it was just a bit weird for everyone. But obviously the news today down here, hopefully that ends soon.
Yeah, fingers crossed, mate. I mean, one thing we need to talk about with your time at Hearts was the Scottish Cup final. Obviously, you come close to pushing Celtic. It went to penalties. What was your memories from that day?
Yeah, good day. I thought we played well. The gaffer had a good game plan. Actually, we were playing 4-3-3 throughout the season, and he sort of flipped it that week to a 3-5-2, which some of us were surprised about. But he got it spot on. I mean, it was a great. I was on the bench, but it was a great game to watch. I think we were really had him rattled for obviously right towards the end. I mean, at the end of the day, we were 2 penalty kicks away from the winning the Scottish Cup, and I do sometimes. Well, I do think about that a lot. Literally is to every penalty shootout that comes on in the Euros. I do think about that moment where you thought, oh yeah, we're 2 penalty kicks away from winning the Scottish Cup. But it would have been amazing doing the double. That'd have been a top season. But
And what was that like? Yeah, we've talked about Tynecastle and obviously no fans here, but I mean Hampden is the layout of Tynecastle obviously is that the stands are right on the park, whereas Hampden's so vast and open. I mean, how was it playing in a Scottish Cup final with no fans?
yeah, that was it. Because obviously I played in the other Scottish Cup final with Motherwell against Celtic, and it was absolutely rocking. To be honest, it just did feel like a training game. It's one of those because it's so big, and you can hear and it's just really echoey, and that did feel like a training game. Obviously, it wasn't, but it felt like a training game. That's the best way I can describe it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned it earlier. I mean, your start at Hearts, it didn't get off to the best kind of starts. Was it a hamstring injury you had, Elliott?
Yeah, I had a few. I had a few. Yeah, I think like most of the players we had too long off, obviously through lockdown, and obviously I didn't have the right equipment. Many of the lads didn't have the right equipment down here, and everywhere at their houses. Obviously, we're not fortunate enough to have inbuilt gyms and stuff like that. And I think sort of my body. Like a few of the other lads, Gino as well, who played at Hearts. He's at Hearts this year again. But I think my body almost reset. And I sort of got away with it in pre-season. I felt really good. And then obviously the first few games I just broke down. And obviously playing out wide and having an hamstring injury was, to be honest, playing on my mind all season. And I couldn't really open up. But yeah, it just is what it is. It was the first real season I've had in my career where I've obviously been injured. To a longer period of time, which is most frustrating because obviously it was the best club I've ever been at. So it is what it is. But yeah, that was it. I sort of lockdown sort of killed me really. Personally.
And how are things looking just now? Are you fully fit at the moment, mate?
Yeah, fully fit. Yeah, I've been doing bits on my own here. Obviously, gyms are open, so it's a massive help. And obviously, we can mix more. And I've been doing training with my pals down here. So yeah, hopefully this season will be a good one.
Good. I mean, Hearts have got a great reputation for the academy setup that they've got there at Riccarton. They brought through some great young players through the academy setup there. Was it Exeter City that you came through the academy?
Yeah, I come down here. Yeah, Exeter. Yeah.
Yeah, how was that as a youngster going through the academy setup?
Yeah, Exeter, great. Yeah, it was a lot different back then. I think I've often get asked about this, back when I was growing up. So I'm 30 now. So when I was 18 going up there, there's a lot different club to what it is now, We were coming through to the conference sort of League Two and then League Two into League One. I broke into League One where the squad was just completely different. But obviously my mates now are coaches there, and it's just a completely different, just a completely different team, different squad. The club is just, the training ground's superb. And obviously they brought players through now, obviously Ollie Watkins, Matt Grimes. There's obviously loads of players in the wings there at the moment. I think there's lads there, even a 14, 15 going to Man United, and it's just a completely different setup, And I think scouts really look at here down in the southwest where there is a lot of boys. Whereas before, when I was down there, I don't think a lot of scouts really looked down south as this. It was more obviously London, Birmingham, going around that way. And I don't really they looked in the southwest at that time, but now it's completely different.
I mean, you're no stranger to Scottish football. You mentioned earlier about your time at Motherwell. You signed a 2.5-year deal there in January 2017. How was your time as a whole at Fir Park? Loved
it. Yeah, obviously I went there in January. Mark McGee signed me, and it was 4 weeks later he got sacked, and I was like, wow, this is this is different. Obviously, living in a different country, freezing cold. But like, yeah, managed to get through. Stephen Robinson coming in was massive. He got us really going, and I went from playing left wing to left wing back. Really enjoyed it, and then obviously I ended up doing quite well that season. Kept the club up in that league, and then we went from there to Scottish Cup finals, and yeah, it was a really good time for me. My daughter was born in Wishaw, so she's got Wishaw on her, so she might be a Scottish international in the future. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, mate. Yeah, great people there, really good. Like, sort of everyone's on the same page. Everyone worked really hard, and yeah, they've done really well the last couple of years. Obviously, Stephen Robinson's gone now, but I'm sure they'll continue that sort of upward trend that they've been doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's another young manager. What was he like to play with? Was his style similar to Robbie Nielsen's? You said Robbie was quite quiet. Was Stevie like that as well, or was he quite an outgoing person?
Yeah, he's not like that. But the thing with Robbie, we know exactly what we were doing. You know, that was the good thing I liked about him. It was no like going on the pitch and I didn't really know what I was doing. I knew exactly what I was doing from minute one. You know, and the good thing about like we obviously we played 3-5-2 and we used to sort of beat teams up. Obviously I didn't, but the front boys and the centre halves are all big lads, and like and then we were going through a little sticky spell, and then I remember we had loads of injuries. We went to Hamilton, obviously a big derby, and we played 4-3-3 and we absolutely battered him. And then from then we sort of played football, and everyone was like, wow, like this is ridiculous. But he completely just changed the style of play, and then we ended up just finishing just outside the top 6, ended up having a really good season. And then from then, played 4-3-3 and played really nice football. So that was good. That, I think that's what shows a good manager, where he can change. So if he sort of identified us as a 3-5-2 sort of long ball, second ball team, and then from then he sort of went 4-3-3 and we started playing some really good football.
Yeah, I mean, you left Motherwell in July 2019, but you turned down a contract that was on the table. What was the reasoning behind that?
To be honest, I wanted to go overseas. Yeah. Like, really wanted to try something. I was really close to going to Australia. Yeah, that didn't. It fell through literally at the last minute. Obviously, I turned down the deal at Motherwell just to go overseas, and I was 28 at the time. And I thought, oh, that's my only chance to really go and try something different abroad. I had a few things in USL, which is the league below the MLS, but again, they weren't right. And then I ended up being a free agent for a while. Really, it was a bit of a shock, but luckily Forest Green at the time sort of signed me to the end of the season, and then obviously everything all kicked off then, didn't it? So
yeah, I want to speak to you about Forest Green very shortly, but still sticking with Scotland, you mentioned obviously the Lanarkshire derby against Hamilton. I mean, New Douglas Park, it's got an artificial pitch. Livingston's got an artificial pitch. Kilmarnock's Rugby Park's got an artificial pitch. As a player, what's your sort of take on these parks at a senior level?
I love it. Honestly, even teams down here, if teams down here have more artificial, I love playing on it. I remember Stephen Robinson actually pulled me and said, look, we need to play on artificial, because I felt like I could run better on it. I know it was surprising to say, but I loved it. I just love the way the ball sort of moves on there. Obviously in the winter it's brilliant for obviously wide players and stuff like that, but I used to really enjoy playing on it. I remember at Hearts, obviously we got trained at the Oriam, and they got the indoor facility there, which we used to train on all the time in the winter. But yeah, I used to enjoy it. I don't know why. I used to feel like I was moving better on it. I could turn better. I know some lads, or most of the lads, really hate it, and some of the lads couldn't train on it and play on it. But yeah, I used to love it. Yeah, I still do.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that obviously divides opinion. Like you say, a lot of the guys dislike it. I mean, we've had discussions on this podcast before with other contributors who have said that they're quite glad that Kilmarnock and Hamilton have went down, so it's two artificial pitch out the stand, but out of the league. Sorry, but I can see your opinion. Like you say, a winger, it helps you get up and down a bit quicker. You're obviously not getting the boots sunk into the mud, if you like. It's good to see a different opinion on that, I suppose. Do you have a particular stadium in Scotland you enjoy playing in? Do you have a favourite?
Yeah, do you know what, Hamilton? I always used to play well at Hamilton. That was a game I used to love to play. Dundee as well. Dundee away. I mean, I don't know what I reckon Motherwell away, but I can't remember losing there in 3 years. Honestly, it was one of them stadiums where we used to just go and just win. It was a weird one. I would love to see the stat of that, but yeah, there I think New Douglas Park and Dundee away. Yeah, I used to love those pitches. I think the bigger the pitch, the better for me.
Right.
Obviously, there's some tough stadiums in that league, isn't there, where you should just wait for the 90 minutes to blow, really.
Some standard, if you like, interview questions for you. Who's the best teammate you've played alongside?
Davy Turnbull. By far, actually. I think Davy's he's a ridiculous talent. I mean, like, we used to play, obviously, in the youth team when I was at Motherwell, when I first joined. And again, going back to when Robbo flipped the style of play to a 4-3-3, he started coming in to train with us.
Yep.
And he was ridiculous. And then he started playing, and I think he scored like 15 goals from midfield. And he was just like, honestly, though, he was just one of the best players I've ever seen. It was ridiculous of what he was doing at that age. Obviously, he had his knee injury, which was disappointing for him. And then obviously last season, I thought he was one of Celtic's best players. Probably
yeah,
would agree with that. But.
Absolutely. I mean, I take it's no surprise to you to see that the level that he's playing at now. Then, no.
Oh, nah, no way. No, yeah, like I'd say he'll go on even more. You know what Tierney's done. He's one of them. You know, his attitude's brilliant. He's obviously got a good family behind him. Really works hard, and yeah, like nothing real phases him. You know, and obviously going into a club like that young and just doing it. You know, that is some doing that. You know, like to go into a club that size and just do it like that, and just come in and just think, yeah, I'm one of the best players here. Just start banging in free kicks and stuff like that. It's brilliant to see. But yeah, he's going to go into big things, big things.
No, definitely, I agree. Who's the best player you played against?
Tavernier, probably. Only because I sort of playing down. I was playing down at Forest Green here, and obviously I was just running past every right back in the league. Really, it wasn't really an issue. And then my second game up in Scotland was Ibrox. I was like, yeah, playing against Tavernier. I didn't really know a lot about him, and I remember coming off thinking, flipping out, this is going to be a tough 2 years. This I've got to play off against this every week. I mean, he was quicker than me, stronger than me, better on the ball than me. And I remember facing him up 3 or 4 times, thinking, like, you like tackle me everything I'm trying to do here. Like, I don't really know what else to do. And I think that day was like a real like learning curve for me. But I'd say Tavernier, yeah, definitely.
There we go. Best goal you've scored?
Oh, I ain't scored many. Best goal I've scored. I'd say the best goal I've scored was Kilmarnock when it secured us sort of to stay in the league. I think Multi put it through and I was 1v1. I just went around the goal. It wasn't like an amazing goal, but just for feeling and what it did for the club, that was the best goal I've scored, I think. Kilmarnock at home.
And again, no, at home, sorry, I was going to say Rugby Park's an artificial park. You mentioned Forest Green Rovers. You've had 2 spells there. I mean, they're quite a unique club. And I want to get your thoughts on this because if for those that don't know, they're owned by a guy called Dale Vince, I believe his name is, who's an environmentalist. They are run completely different to any other club in the world. They don't have a groundsman, I believe. The grass is cut by a solar-powered robot. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
Wow. I mean, how does the playing surface differ at all from any other park because of that? Or
It did in the winter, yeah, because obviously the groundsmen don't use any artificial stuff on the pitch, so it used to like go like a different colour, which was like nuts. But like that was obviously 4 years ago when I was 4 or 5 years ago when I was there. But now it's like all the products in all that sort of sector have moved on a bit, so they've all it's all gone a bit more. Obviously, got a lot better and looks more like the real stuff, you know. But yeah, it's a different club. Obviously, they only get 1,200 fans every home game, but everyone knows about it. So you talk to me about it now. So obviously they're on sort of a worldwide stage. And I think every time we used to go to training, there used to be like film crews from like Norway and New Zealand. And it was just nuts because everyone just knew about it because they were doing stuff differently.
Yeah.
I mean, even like little thing, like we used to obviously a lot of away games where we got to go overnight and obviously the chairman won't pay for any meat for us. So like obviously the boys like chicken, don't they, for pre-match and stuff like that. Yep. So we have to pay for it ourselves. that's just how he is. And fair play to him, because he has stuck to his roots and what he does. And honestly, if you ever get the chance to go down to the stadium, it is a cool place. I know he's trying to build a new one on the M5, fully made out of wood and stuff like that. I think he's got the planning for that now. But you know what? He's like forward thinking, and people don't really like it, but you know, he's just trying to break that trend of like typical football club with Bovrils and, you know, stuff like that. It's just mad. He's just got some nut stuff.
That's it. I mean, I think the strips weren't made from polyester; they were made from bamboo and recycled ground coffee. The club is totally vegan free, like you said. So pre-match meals are all plant based, and they don't sell any pies or bovril in the ground as well. I mean, it's literally a club night like no other. I mean, do you think we'll see other clubs maybe try and follow that sort of setup, if you like? Do you think?
Well, to be honest, I think clubs are going to have to now, aren't they? You know, it's like electric cars, isn't it? More of them are coming in now, and we used to get given, actually, when I was first there, we used to get, the boys used to live in like Gloucester. I used to live in Gloucester with 4 or 5 of us, and we used to get given an electric car to drive in training with. So that was back then. So I don't know what they're doing now there, but yeah, I think so. I think clubs are going to have to, like I said, they're going to have to do it, because that's the way the world's going to go, in terms of all of this environmental stuff and stuff like that, and recyclable kits. And I like what they're doing. You know, I like that. I like what they're doing. I mean, we got given shin pads when I was there that were made out of, like, I don't know what they were made out of, but some biodegradable stuff. But like, it's just new stuff in every day with it. But I like it. I like what they're doing, and the publicity from what they're doing with it is good. I mean, stuff they're doing, I think they got Sea Shepherds, one of the sponsors there, which are the guys that go out and challenge the Chinese with all the whale stuff and that. So they've got sort of every angle covered in our environmental stuff. And I remember fans used to hate, the away fans, I mean, we played Bradford and that, they used to hate it, like coming and not being able to get a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. But yeah, even my nan, I took my nan come up once to watch one of the games, and she was just like, she wanted to bring a flask of her own tea and that, but they wouldn't let her in with it. It's just mental. But it's opening up. Even to be fair, like I said, my mum and dad used to go out and eat the pies, and the food's brilliant. You know, if you there's the chefs at the club, and we used to get the chefs obviously at the club doing our training ground food. The stuff is really good, but like to me and you to cook that is really hard. You know, like getting all the ingredients and stuff like that. It's really hard to eat like that, but when the club do it, it is superb. Yeah.
Did you find any sort of difference in your energy levels eating a different diet at that club?
No, not really. To be honest, I wasn't really fully vegan. That's the thing I get quite asked a lot about when they say about Forest Green. Oh, do they force you to be vegan? No, they don't. But I used to eat vegan, like obviously for lunch when I was at the club, and sometimes breakfast, but that was it. You know, I was back to my normal diet, so I can't really say like, did it give me more energy? I don't really know, because I wasn't really fully vegan. I don't think I could, because again, I'm going back to that place where I can't cook like that. I'm not a good enough cook to cook nice enough to eat like that, you know. But and that's what Dale Vince says. He says, look, he doesn't want everyone to come and go fully vegan. He wants people to come and do little changes, you know, little changes to their diet, which ultimately changes the environment in some sort of capacity, doesn't it? Yeah. But
brilliant. Good. I like that. But I think, I mean, you mentioned earlier about how there was film crews from like all over the world, and we're talking about it up here in Scotland. We're aware of it.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying there's a gentleman, is it Robert Del Naja, who's the artistic director? I think he was in the band Massive Attack or something, that's come on board, and he's helped to promote this whole idea for Dale.
Yeah. There used to be celebs at the gate. Like I say, Hector Bellerin's the Arsenal guy. He's invested heavily in the club, and they've had investors everywhere. I remember there's used to be some big celebrities come to the games because they were just interested in it, you know. And used to get people coming. Like Lily-Ann and like lives in Gloucester. Obviously, there's a lot of high profile people that live in Gloucestershire and where that is in the Cotswolds. So they try and promote it well, and I think they've done a great job, mate.
Yeah, I mean, back to things on the park at Forest Green. You were part of the side that made it through to the National League 2015-16 playoff final at Wembley. How was it walking out at the National Stadium?
Yeah, it was a tough afternoon, that, yeah. it was brilliant, goosebump stuff. You know, it's something obviously you dream of when you're a kid, don't you? Especially Wembley. I mean, like I remember I've seen some of the Scottish guys who just played there the other day saying like Wembley, what a stadium. I mean, I don't know whether you've been down there, but it's amazing. But obviously Forest Green, like we played Grimsby, but I think we only took like 6,000-7,000. You know, just one of those clubs. It was just empty, and obviously Grimsby had about 15,000-16,000, so it was a massive advantage to them. But yeah, what a day, great day. Obviously disappointed, obviously didn't get the win, but I'm obviously delighted that they went up the following year. Obviously, I left in Jan, so that was one of them. So it's what it is.
Is that something ticked off the bucket list though now to see you've played at Wembley?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, win, lose. Yeah, I say win or lose, it is something to tick off your bucket list, definitely. And obviously, I've got my office over there. It's got obviously my Wembley shirt, Wembley photos, and yeah, it was a very proud moment. But obviously, win or lose, it's one of them, innit?
Yeah, definitely. So what have you been up to this pre-season, Elliott? Are you attached to a club at the moment? Is there talks of you going in somewhere, or are you still a free agent?
Yeah, I'm still a free agent, mate. I'm still talking to a few clubs down here. It's a little bit difficult down here in the southwest, just because obviously there's not a lot of clubs. You know, there's not a lot of clubs to choose from down here. Obviously, it's a lovely place to live. Obviously, my wife's bringing up my kids here. I want my kids to go to school in the southwest, so I'm sort of done with moving away now. So I'm trying to obviously find something down here where I can be more settled and obviously be a dad, which I haven't been for the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, did that scenario during lockdown with you being up in Edinburgh and the family down south, did that kind of make this decision a lot more easier for yourself to look for a club closer to home?
Oh yeah, it did. Yeah. I don't know whether you got kids, David, but it's just it was hard. You know, I was going to training and coming home, lying in my bed, I was literally going back into bed at like 1-2 o'clock in the morning, living like a student. I was just like, you sort of get yourself in a little bit of a bad space, and obviously that sort of transpires onto the pitch, and obviously your body's under a little bit more stress, and that's probably why I had a few more injuries than what I should have done really. But yeah, I want to be home now and be around the place. But obviously my wife's just had our second, so she's 6 weeks old. So it's just, I don't know. I might ring Robbie Nelson so he can have another year. But yeah, so it's just been a bit carnage, but yeah, we're enjoying it back together.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you've still got a good few seasons left in you yet, Elliott, but have you given much thought as to what sort of line of work you'll go down after the football's finished?
Yeah, I've flirted with a few stuff. I'm doing my degree at the moment through Open University, which is an honours degree in business, sport and management. 2 years down on that now, so I've got 2 years left and I'll be done with that. I don't really want to coach. I sort of set that out early days of my career really. I sort of wanted to go down something a bit more different, you know, like I even wanted to just go and put a suit on every day and join the rat race, do something like that, you know. Something different for me. I don't really want to, once I finish football, I sort of done with that and want to sort of go into some sort of business and do something like that. Because I do think footballers have a lot to offer, you know. I think it's tough for lads like obviously at my level, stuff like that. Obviously we're not on life-changing money, so we're never going to retire at the end of our careers. We're going to go into another career. And I do think footballers, obviously at my level and stuff like that, have a lot to offer businesses, you know. Just in terms of our mentality and how dedicated we have been for the past sort of 15 years. So yeah, like I say, that's something that really interests me, and just want to get my degree boxed off now and have a sort of education behind me where I can go into somewhere and really enhance something.
No, definitely. Well, wish you all the best for next season. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, ladies and gentlemen. ELLIOTT FREAR.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.